Okay, we're going to do another video here on something highly unlikely, but anybody guess what this is? This is a Ameda breast pump. My wife was nursing, and she was noticing that this is not working so good. So, decided to take it apart. So, looks like this. Looks like this, and when you take the screws out of the back side of it, 1, 2, 3, 4, this one was just a dummy hole here, and these are the little pieces that come out of it. You just take a knife and pry them up, and anyway, so then the screws come out of the back, no big deal. This comes off the top, no problem, so that goes to the side, and I was just kind of touching this, and the circuit board was a little bit loose, but not that big of a deal. So, as I was removing, so that basically the circuit board sticks on two nubs, here and here, and hole and hole. So, as I was trying to take this apart, figuring out how it went, I picked it up this way. So from this end, lift up, this whole thing basically comes out, and it rotates out. And as I did that, this little thing fell out. I was like, what the heck's that? Oh, good. Well, I didn't catalog where it went, so how am I supposed to find out where it goes? Well, as it turns out, not one, but two of these things came out. So, what are they? Well, they are tabby thingies here that actually hold the whole pump assembly together. It's kind of like lug nuts on a wheel. And now we're down to 1, 2 that are actually holding, and 1, 2 that are loose. So this whole thing, I don't know, hopefully you can see that, this whole thing moves. That's not good. And as the pump goes, so the pump turns like this, and it probably is going at a fairly high rate of speed, back and forth and back and forth, but as the pump extends all the way out to the end here, it opens, and hopefully you can see that, open, close, open, close. So it's got to be losing suction somehow. So one way or another, this is not as efficient as it could be. So, now we gotta figure out how to fix it. And I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do, but somehow we gotta put a clamp here and a clamp here. Most likely with, I'm gonna get some quick steel and see if that works. Probably gonna clamp it nice and tight this way. So to get really good clamped that away, couple of C-clamps of quick steel, and maybe that'll work. All right, let's see. Okay, so we're rolling again. This is quick steel, in case you haven't seen it. I love this stuff. I happen to have a little bit of extra here. We don't need very much for this job. Need a knife to cut it, though. Okay, so you take a piece like that, small piece, and roll it. So all I'm going to do is try to make a C-clamp effectively over this spot and see if it holds. Now, this stuff, the reason I like this stuff so much is I think it's epoxy, probably epoxy, or some type of epoxy. It actually has steel embedded in it. So this stuff is so hard, it withstands heat, says up to 500 degrees. I think it goes higher. It's incredible. I've had this on my exhaust manifold. And it gets warm in your hands as it's curing. So now, it's actually drillable and tappable when it cures. So this will, I think, hold quite well here. So I could basically kind of form it in to a clamp. That's essentially what we're making. And here too. So I'm recreating these clips. I have no idea if this is going to work or not. But if your Ameda pump is losing suction, if your wife asks you if she can go out and buy a new $300 one, you might want to say, hey, you know, let's have a look at that first before you run out and spend that kind of money. Keep this out of the way, though, of this part, which is going to be running into there, so we gotta get it. So yeah, so this stuff is so incredibly hard when it hardens. It is actually drillable and tappable. So we're going to let that cure. This will only take about 5 minutes. And then we'll find out if it works or not. Okay. That's pretty hard. So let's see if this worked. Well, seems pretty solid. Let's articulate this. I was worried a little about this being not in the way here, so let's make sure it articulates all the way up. Unimpeded.
Are they in the drawer, Megan?
Yep.
The drawer underneath here?
That stops it, so that's fine. Alright, so let's put it back together. Well, may have to use some silicone or something to get that correct. Because it does not want to stay. This spring over here, let's see, can you see? Yeah, this spring over here is what's pushing back. So I don't see a good way to easily release it either without having a problem. So, alright, well, since I don't know what I'm doing here, we've got a couple of nubs here and right here that actually align the circuit board. The problem is there's nothing that actually holds the circuit board down. There's no screw. So the circuit board, because of a spring, which would be over here for the batteries, because of the spring, it just wants to, well, spring right out. The circuit board just pops right out. So I put a little bit of glue here and here, just polyurethane glue. That's what I had. And hopefully it gets sticky enough to hold the circuit board temporarily until I can put the top back on. I don't understand why this doesn't have something hold it, but anyway, so we have our quick steel here. Looks fine, and we'll go from there. Wait till it cures. Okay, with super glue, it's actually holding. So we're going to use super glue, and hopefully that'll hold at least while I get this aligned here. Okay, so the super glue worked. I just put this cover back on, and now we're going to put the screws in. I assume I don't need to show you that. I imagine most people around here know how to put screws in something. And the real question is, does it work? I don't know. We'll find out. There you have it. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. No idea. Okay, so does it work? The answer is yes, it does. But the caveat is, well, number one, I'm not going to give you a demonstration. Number two, the reason that it wasn't working may or may not have been because of the tabs. This was an pretty obvious reason why it was losing suction. But as it turns out, the apparatus that actually connects here, that is basically the business end of this machine, was not working properly either. So the way that we tested it was, my wife did buy a new machine, and we hooked up the new hose and the hose in the other end of this to this, and it works perfectly. So this part works fine now. It just needs a new, I don't know what you call it, hose and cups or whatever. So there you have it for this video, and obviously this is pretty random, but that's what I'm going to be doing here on these videos. So don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye.